In the world of Korean entertainment, age gap relationships are nothing new. But some of these couples took it to a whole different level. We're talking gaps so big they sparked headlines, endless debates, and plenty of raised eyebrows. And believe it or not, one couple on this list has an age difference of more than 20 years. Today, we're looking at K-drama couples with huge age gaps and finding out which romances made it work and which ones didn't. Number 20. Lee Kwang-soo and Lee Sun-bin. What started as a public celebrity crush eventually became one of the strongest relationships in Korean entertainment. We kick things off with one of the most beloved real-life couples in the business, Lee Kwang-soo, the lanky, lovable Prince of Asia from Running Man, and a respected actor in Inseparable Bros, and the Netflix thriller Karma, is now 41. Actress Lee Sun-bin, known for Work Later, Drink Now, and numerous hit dramas, is now 32, creating a 9-year age gap. Their origin story is pure variety show gold. The two met on Running Man in 2016, where Sun-bin appeared as a guest and boldly revealed on national television that Kwang-soo was her ideal type. Naturally, the cast never let him hear the end of it. What seemed like a funny variety show moment eventually became reality. The pair quietly began dating and went public at the end of 2018. By Kwang-soo's own count, they've now been together for roughly 8 to 9 years, making them one of the most stable celebrity couples in Korea. When a TV host recently teased him about whether the pair would eventually marry or break up, Kwang-soo immediately shut down the question with a confident response: "We won't break up." Even his longtime best friend Kim Woo-bin has already tied the knot, leaving fans happily wondering when these two will finally walk down the aisle themselves. Number 19. Gong Hyo-jin and Kevin Oh. She spent years saying marriage wasn't for her, until one man changed her mind completely. Next, we have the rare celebrity couple where the woman is the older one, Gong Hyo-jin, the beloved queen of romantic comedies from Master's Son, It's Okay, That's Love, and When the Camellia Blooms is now 46. Her husband, singer-songwriter Kevin Oh, is now 36, making her a full 10 years his senior. Here's the fascinating backstory. Long before Kevin entered the picture, Hyo-jin was already part of one of Korea's most famous long-term relationships, having dated actor Ryu Sung-bum for roughly a decade before the two amicably parted ways in 2012. What's especially surprising is that for years afterward, she openly said she had little interest in ever getting married. Watching friends settle down and start families had convinced her it simply wasn't the path she wanted. Then Kevin came along and everything changed. As she later explained, sometimes you just know when you've met the person you're meant to marry. The couple tied the knot in an intimate New York City ceremony in October 2022, marking a new chapter that few fans saw coming. But the surprises didn't end there. About a year later, Kevin demonstrated just how committed he was to building a life in Korea. Despite being an American citizen with no obligation to serve, he voluntarily enlisted in the Korean military, a decision that earned widespread admiration and respect from many fans. More than a decade apart in age, the couple's story is a reminder that sometimes the person who changes your plans is also the person who changes your life. Number 18. Own Joo-wan and Minah. What if the love of your life isn't someone new, but someone who's been in your orbit for years? One of the freshest couples here, actor Own Joo-wan and singer-actress Minah, prove that timing can be everything. Joo-wan, known for dramas like Dear Fair Lady Kong Shim, is now 43, while Minah, the main vocalist of girl group Girls' Day and the voice behind hits like Something, is now 33, 10 years apart. Their love story has a charming full-circle quality. The two first met in 2016 while filming Dear Fair Lady Kong Shim, but back then, things stayed strictly professional. Years later, they reunited while working on a stage musical together, and a friendship slowly turned into something more. After dating quietly away from the cameras, the couple took the next step in November 2025, exchanging vows in a private ceremony in Bali with close family and friends. Next to many of the long-established marriages here, theirs is still in its earliest chapter, but it's already one of the sweetest stories among recent K-entertainment couples. Number 17. Han Ji-min and Choi Jung-hoon. Who would have guessed that one of Korea's most elegant actresses would end up dating an indie rock star 10 years younger than her? Han Ji-min, one of Korea's most beloved and respected actresses, known for Rooftop Prince, Familiar Wife, and Our Blues, is now 44. Her boyfriend, Choi Jung-hoon, the charismatic frontman of the acclaimed indie band Janabi, is now 34, putting a decade between them. Their relationship became public in August 2024, when Jimin's agency officially confirmed the two were dating. According to reports, they first connected through the KBS music program The Seasons, where Jung-hoon served as host and Ji-min appeared as a guest. Part of what makes this couple so intriguing is how unexpected the pairing feels. On one side is a veteran actress known for her grace, warmth, and quiet professionalism. On the other is a free-spirited musician whose emotional lyrics and distinctive voice helped make Janabi one of Korea's most beloved bands. Despite the surprise factor, the reaction has been overwhelmingly positive. While many celebrity relationships become magnets for controversy, theirs has unfolded with remarkably little drama, drawing genuine support from fans of both stars. Sometimes the couples nobody sees coming end up being the easiest to root for. Number 16. Song Seung-heon and Liu Yifei. What happens when two of Asia's biggest stars try to make a long-distance relationship work? Sometimes a huge age gap comes with an international border attached. Song Seung-heon, the Hallyu icon who helped launch the Korean wave with Autumn in My Heart, is now 50. His former girlfriend, Chinese-American superstar Liu Yifei, best known to global audiences as Disney's live-action Mulan, is now 39, 11 years his junior. The two met in 2015 while filming the Korean-Chinese romance The Third Way of Love, where they played lovers on screen. Before long, life began imitating art, and they confirmed their relationship, instantly becoming one of the most closely watched celebrity couples in Asia. Fans were captivated. Not only were they major stars in their own countries, but together they seemed to bridge two entertainment worlds. Their relationship drew enormous attention from both Korean and Chinese media, with many describing them as one of the most visually stunning celebrity pairings on the continent. For more than 2 years, they tried to balance romance with demanding careers on opposite sides of the region. But even fairy tale pairings eventually run into real-world obstacles. In early 2018, the couple confirmed they had gone their separate ways, with reports pointing to hectic schedules and the challenges of maintaining a long-distance relationship. Number 15. Kim Ji-suk and Lee Joo-myung. Could one of K-entertainment's most likable veterans have found love with one of its fastest rising stars? One of the most recent couples to go public? And one of the most charming. Kim Ji-suk, the warm, witty actor from When the Camellia Blooms, Another Miss O, and Kiss Sixth Sense, as well as a familiar face on variety shows like I Live Alone, is now 45. Rising actress Lee Joo-myung, known for 2521 and her standout role in the 2024 hit film Pilot, is now 33, making her 12 years younger. The pair confirmed their relationship in August 2024, and what stood out was how straightforward the announcement was. Both agencies, his Alien Company and her YG Entertainment, acknowledged the romance at the same time and simply asked fans to support the couple warmly. In an industry where relationships are often kept secret for as long as possible, the openness felt refreshingly direct. Part of the public fascination came from where the two stood in their careers. Ji-suk had spent more than 2 decades building a reputation as one of Korea's most dependable actors and variety personalities, while Joo-myung was emerging as one of the brightest young talents of her generation. Together, they quickly became one of the year's most talked about celebrity couples, and one that fans continue to follow closely. Number 14. Lee Byung-hun and Lee Min-jung. Can a marriage survive a scandal that might have ended most celebrity relationships? One of Korea's true global movie stars, Lee Byung-hun, known worldwide for A Bittersweet Life, the G.I. Joe films, and as the frontman in Squid Game, is now 56. His wife, actress Lee Min-jung of Boys Over Flowers fame, is now 44, making her 12 years younger. In Korean culture, that number carries extra significance, as it represents a full zodiac cycle. The two first grew close in the mid-2000s and dated on and off before tying the knot in 2013. Their star-studded wedding was one of the biggest celebrity events of the year, bringing together 2 generations of Korean acting talent. But the marriage soon faced its biggest challenge. In 2014, while Lee Min-jung was pregnant with their first child, Lee Byung-hun became embroiled in a highly publicized scandal after 2 women attempted to blackmail him using a secretly recorded video. The incident dominated entertainment headlines, and the actor publicly apologized to his wife and family for the pain and embarrassment it caused. At the time, many observers believed the marriage might not survive. Instead, the couple chose to work through the crisis together. More than a decade later, they're still married, raising 2 children, and remain one of the most recognizable and enduring power couples in Korean entertainment. Sometimes the age gap isn't the biggest test a relationship faces. Number 13. Eric Mun and Na Hye-mi. What if the love of your life was someone you first noticed in a magazine photo? Eric Mun isn't just a familiar face from K-dramas, he's also the leader of Shinhwa, one of the longest-running and most legendary idol groups in K-pop history. Now 47, Eric eventually found love with actress Na Hye-mi, now 35, making her 12 years younger. Their story sounds almost too cinematic to be true. As Eric tells it, he first came across Hye-mi's photo in a magazine while sitting in a hair salon. Something about her caught his eye, and he couldn't stop thinking about her. Eventually, he found a way to reach out, and what began as a simple introduction gradually turned into a serious relationship. The two dated for roughly 5 years, much of it away from the public eye. During that time, dating rumors surfaced more than once, but their agencies repeatedly denied them, helping the relationship stay largely under the radar. Then, in 2017, they finally made it official. The wedding marked a milestone not only for Eric, but for K-pop history, as he became the first member of Shinhwa to get married, and later, the first to become a father. Today, the couple are raising 2 sons together, proving that a 12-year age gap was never much of an obstacle at all. Number 12. Suzy and Lee Dong-wook. Few celebrity relationships generated as much buzz as this one. When stars as famous as Suzy and Lee Dong-wook go public, the whole industry takes notice. Suzy, the former Miss A member who reinvented herself as a leading actress in While You Were Sleeping and Vagabond, is now 32. Lee Dong-wook, beloved as the unforgettable Grim Reaper and Goblin, is now 45, 13 years her senior. Adding even more buzz was Suzy's dating history. Before Dong-wook, she'd famously dated fellow Hallyu superstar Lee Min-ho for more than 2 years, as half of one of the most followed couples of the 2010s. So when word broke in early 2018 that Suzy and Dong-wook were together, Korean forums erupted. Plenty of fans were supportive, but others fixated on the age difference, with some critics unfairly branding the older Dong-wook an ajushi, a middle-aged uncle, despite his standing as one of Korea's most admired actors. The romance didn't last long. Just a few months after confirming it, the two announced their breakup, with reports citing demanding schedules and the strain of dating under such intense scrutiny. Star-powered and short-lived, it's still one of the more memorable pairings of its era. Number 11. Lee Dong-gun and Ji-yeon. What started as a movie romance quickly became one of Korea's most talked-about real-life couples. Another couple 13 years apart, Lee Dong-gun and Ji-yeon began the way many celebrity romances do, on a film set. Dong-gun, the leading man from dramas like Lovers in Paris and other early Hallyu hits, is now 46. Ji-yeon, singer, actress, and one of the most recognizable members of girl group T-ara, is now 33. The two met while filming the Korea-China movie Encounter in 2015, cast as a romantic couple. It didn't take long for life to imitate art. Their on-screen relationship became a real one, and they surprised fans by going public just a month after they started dating. Unlike many couples who try to stay hidden, Dong-gun and Ji-yeon seemed comfortable showing their affection, often looking genuinely happy whenever they were spotted together. For a while, they made 13 years apart look like no hurdle at all. After nearly 2 years, though, the relationship ran its course, and the two quietly went their separate ways. Dong-gun later found love again, marrying actress Jo Yoon-hee in 2017. It didn't last forever, but it remains one of the more memorable age gap romances Korea has seen. Number 10. Bae Yong-joon and Park Soo-jin. One of the most private men in Korean entertainment surprised everyone when he finally settled down. If you know anything about the early Korean wave, you know this man. Bae Yong-joon, nicknamed Yeon-sama by his devoted Japanese fans after Winter Sonata, was one of the figures who introduced Korean entertainment to audiences across Asia and beyond. The Yeon-sama craze ran so hot, he was often credited with helping fuel tourism between Korea and Japan. Now 54, Yong-joon eventually found love with actress Park Soo-jin, now 41, 13 years younger. When news of the relationship emerged, fans were caught off guard, mostly because Yeongjun had guarded his private life more carefully than almost anyone in Korean showbiz. Yet things moved quickly, and the couple married in 2015. They've largely stayed out of the spotlight ever since, focused on raising their 2 children and building a quiet family life well away from the public eye. For a man who spent decades keeping the public at arm's length, that may be the biggest surprise of all. Number 9. Daniel Henney and Ru Kumagai. After years of being one of Korea's most eligible bachelors, who finally captured Daniel Henney's heart? A heartthrob on both sides of the Pacific, Daniel Henney first rose to fame in Korea through the smash hit drama My Name is Kim Sam-soon before building a Hollywood career in Criminal Minds, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and The Wheel of Time. Now 47, Daniel eventually found lasting love with Japanese-American actress Ru Kumagai, now 34, 14 years younger. Unlike many celebrity romances that start on set or through industry connections, theirs began in a far more ordinary way. The two reportedly met at a restaurant where Ru was working and bonded over a shared love of books. A simple conversation slowly deepened into a relationship. In October 2023, the couple quietly married, surprising fans who'd long counted Daniel among entertainment's most sought-after bachelors. He's been refreshingly candid about the age difference ever since, saying it's never mattered to him. That his wife's maturity, her character, and their connection count for far more than the years between them. After success in both Korea and Hollywood, it seems Daniel's happiest role may simply be that of a husband. Number 8. Seo Tai-ji and Lee Eun-sung. How often does a fan actually end up marrying their idol? This one sounds like something out of a fantasy. Seo Tai-ji is a genuine music legend, widely credited with revolutionizing Korean pop and laying the groundwork for modern K-pop. Now 54, he married actress Lee Eun-sung, now 38, 16 years his junior. What makes the story so remarkable is that Eun-sung wasn't just another actress, she was already a fan. The two first crossed paths in 2008 when she appeared in the music video for one of his songs. Few could have guessed the young fan in his video would one day become his wife. Their relationship developed quietly, away from public attention, fitting for a man who spent much of his career fiercely guarding his privacy. In 2013, the two registered their marriage, surprising fans who hadn't even realized they were dating. They've kept an exceptionally low profile ever since, rarely sharing anything about their personal lives. For one of the most private figures in Korean entertainment, that's no surprise, but their story endures as one of the industry's most heartwarming, a rare case where the dream of marrying your favorite star actually came true. Number 7. Kim Go-eun and Shin Ha-kyun. Life has a funny sense of humor sometimes. Kim Go-eun, now 35, became a global star playing the young bride of an ancient immortal in the smash hit Goblin. But not long before that series took over the world, she was in a real-life romance with someone much older. Veteran actor Shin Ha-kyun, known for acclaimed films like Joint Security Area and a long string of standout performances, is now 52, 17 years her senior. The relationship became public in 2016, after reports revealed the two had grown close through the same agency. Beyond acting, they reportedly bonded over a shared love of scuba diving, which helped turn a friendship into something more. Fans couldn't miss the irony. Just as Goblin was introducing the world to a romance between a young woman and an impossibly old immortal, Go-eun's real life echoed the very same theme. The timing wasn't lost on anyone. The romance proved short-lived, though. After about 8 months, the couple parted ways in early 2017, reportedly undone by increasingly busy schedules, and they moved on without any public drama. Brief as it was, it lingers in memory precisely because reality mirrored fiction so unexpectedly. Number 6. So Ji-sub and Cho Eun-jung. What would make one of Korea's most famous lifelong bachelors finally decide to get married? One of Korea's most stoic, beloved leading men finally found his answer. So Ji-sub, the charismatic star of I'm Sorry, I Love You and Master's Son, is now 49. A competitive swimmer turned model turned actor, he built a career that made him one of the industry's most respected names, and for years one of its most eligible bachelors, which is exactly why his marriage stunned so many. His wife, former announcer Cho Eun-jung, is now 32, 17 years younger. The relationship began through work. Eun-jung was a broadcast reporter assigned to interview Ji-sub while he promoted a film, and what looked like a routine sit-down turned out to be life-changing. Ji-sub later admitted he was drawn to her instantly and couldn't stop thinking about her afterward. The age gap did give him pause. He's been open about how much it worried him at first, but he eventually decided he'd regret silence more than taking a chance. So he reached out, and the relationship slowly bloomed. In April 2020, the two quietly married. True to Ji-sub's understated nature, they skipped the lavish celebrity wedding everyone expected and made a charitable donation instead. A simple gesture that captured exactly who they are. Number 5. Ma Dong-seok and Ye Jung-hwa. For one of Korea's toughest action stars, where did he meet the woman who would become his wife? Not on a movie set, but in a gym. You know him as the unstoppable powerhouse from Train to Busan, the Roundup series, and Marvel's Eternals. Off-screen, though, Ma Dong-seok, known internationally as Don Lee, has a much softer side. Now 55, he found love with entertainer Ye Jung-hwa, now 38, 17 years younger. Long before he became an action star, Dong-seok spent years as a personal trainer and fitness coach after growing up in the United States, reportedly working with professional athletes and mixed martial arts fighters before he ever turned to acting. So it's only fitting that fitness would shape his love life too. The two first met at a gym, connecting over a shared passion for exercise and a mutual interest in studying English. The relationship grew steadily, and in 2016, they went public. They quietly registered their marriage in 2021, though fans had to wait a few more years to see them celebrate properly. Between the pandemic and packed schedules, the wedding ceremony didn't happen until 2024. For a man famous for throwing punches and staring down villains on screen, his real-life romance is endearingly gentle, a reminder that even the toughest guys can be hopeless romantics. Number 4. Shim Hyung-tak and Hirai Saya. How many times would you keep confessing to someone after being rejected? Actor and longtime variety favorite Shim Hyung-tak, now 49, surprised plenty of fans when he announced his marriage to Japanese native Hirai Saya, now 31, an 18-year gap. After years known as one of Korean entertainment's most eligible bachelors, few expected his love story to start overseas. And what a story it turned out to be. Hyung-tak first met Saya while filming a TV program in Japan. Stopping by a Gundam cafe in Tokyo's famous Akihabara district, he met the cafe's manager, Saya, and fell for her on the spot. The feeling, unfortunately, wasn't mutual at first. When he confessed, she turned him down, so he tried again, and got rejected again. Most people would have stopped there. Hyung-tak didn't. Determined to win her over, he kept at it for months, staying in touch and patiently proving he was sincere. By the couple's own account, it took roughly 8 months before Saya agreed to give him a chance, a decision that changed both their lives. They married in 2023 and welcomed their first son in early 2025. Looking back, it's hard not to conclude that persistence really did pay off. One of the most unusual, endearing international love stories Korean entertainment has produced. Number 3. Im Chang-jung and Soo Ha-yan. Can a love story get an even happier ending the second time around? Im Chang-jung is one of Korea's ultimate multi-talents, a chart-topping ballad singer, working actor, and longtime entertainer whose career spans decades. Known for hit songs as well as films, he is now 53. His wife, Soo Ha-yan, is about 18 years younger, giving the couple one of the widest gaps you'll see today. What makes the story so compelling is that it reads like a true second chapter. Before Ha-yan, Chang-jung had already known both marriage and fatherhood. He was previously married to a professional golfer, and the two had 3 sons together before divorcing in 2013. A few years on, he found love again. In 2017, he married Ha-yan, and together they built a new family, welcoming children of their own. Rather than hide from the spotlight, the couple eventually let viewers into their lives on the popular reality show Same Bed, Different Dreams 2. There, audiences saw their playful chemistry up close. The warmth, the constant teasing, the obvious affection. It won people over fast, and plenty of viewers forgot about the 18-year gap entirely. If anything, the show convinced fans the two were a perfect match. Number 2. Hong Sang-soo and Kim Min-hee. Can a relationship survive years of public criticism and still endure? Our most controversial entry is also one of the most famous. Acclaimed art house director Hong Sang-soo, now 66, and actress Kim Min-hee, now 44, are separated by a staggering 22 years. the widest gap here by a long way. Their story began through their work together. As Sang-soo directed film after film with Min-hee in the lead, the two grew closer. When they publicly acknowledged the relationship in 2017, the reaction was immediate and explosive, because Sang-soo was still legally married, which led many in Korea to view it as an affair. The controversy quickly became one of the country's biggest entertainment stories. Later that year, Min-hee won Best Actress at the Berlin International Film Festival for On the Beach at Night Alone, a film many read as a reflection of their real-life romance. In her acceptance speech, she publicly thanked Sang-soo, a moment that set off even more headlines back home. Despite the backlash, the two stayed together. Reports over the years have suggested Sang-soo's wife declined to grant a divorce, adding yet another layer to an already tangled situation. And while public opinion has stayed divided, their creative partnership never paused. Nearly a decade later, Sang-soo and Min-hee are still together and still collaborating, with Min-hee appearing in many of the director's most acclaimed films. Great artistic partnership, or one of Korea's most controversial romances, either way, it's one few people have forgotten. Number 1. Choi Sung-kook and Ahn Hye-jin. What if the biggest age gap relationship here began with nothing more than a mosquito bite? And at number 1, the most staggering gap of them all. Veteran actor and comedian Choi Sung-kook, now 56, married Ahn Hye-jin, now 32, a remarkable 24 years apart. For Sung-kook, love arrived after a long and often difficult road. His career had seen major ups and downs over the years, including stretches when he was largely absent from the spotlight, and few would have predicted his next chapter would become one of the warmest stories here. Their first meeting couldn't have been more ordinary. As Sung-kook tells it, the two met at an outdoor cafe in the coastal city of Busan. Noticing her getting bitten again and again by mosquitoes, he offered her some repellent. And that small gesture sparked a casual conversation that led to something much bigger. A chance encounter slowly grew into a serious relationship. After about a year of dating, the couple married in 2022, and in 2023, they welcomed a healthy son. Looking back, Sung-kook has said he wasn't searching for love when they met. It simply happened. And maybe that's what makes the story stick. Of every couple here, none faced a wider gap than Sung-kook and Hye-jin. Yet they turned a random afternoon at a cafe into a marriage, a family, and a brand new beginning. So which of these surprised you the most? The couples who quietly made it work for decades, or the famous ones that flamed out in just a few months? And is there a big gap couple we missed? Let me know down below. And if you'd like to see which K-drama couples are still going strong after all these years, or which of your favorite stars quietly became parents, click the video on your screen right now. Some of them might just surprise you.